Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Two Brits, One Yank podcast. I'm the American on the show, Conor Kelly, and I'm joined here by my two Brits.
So Wanjau-Smith.
Sambo.
Now, I got to say, that felt a bit strange for me, not being the one to introduce it, but you did a very good job.
I had major pre-match nerves there. I'm not
That was
gonna lie,
first
but
take as well.
Yeah,
First take, one take
play.
warrior. But second take because I caught him in the toilet doing it to himself in the mirror earlier. So he's trying to get into his role, into his character.
As George Ellacobi says, preparation is key.
Facts.
But yeah, today we're going to be focusing on our boy, Wanjau-Smith, my favorite Bristolian.
Facts.
So yeah, we're going to be hearing all about your career, your backstory, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I would say you have a very interesting path to where you are now. So I'm really excited to hear a bit more about it as well.
I'd say it's very different to the two people sat to the left and right of me. Hopefully give some insight into non-league and a little bit of a rise through non-league. And yeah, I hope that young players can take something from it. So I'm excited to get into it. But first, I have to apologise to all the listeners. I have to apologise to my teammates,
What
my
have you done?
family. I've let myself down.
Why?
I, in fact, did get the stinking sweater, the blue bib,
Oh.
on my first training session back from injury. Unfortunately,
If that was me, I
voted-
wouldn't have said anything.
I was voted the worst trainer. Well, firstly...
Damn, you're coming for the boys, is it?
No,
what do you
no,
mean,
no,
firstly?
Wow.
Well, I just
God.
want to give a little backstory because everyone might not understand what this means. So the day before a match, it's usually before a Saturday match. Friday, we'll do small Saturday in training. So it could be a 10v10 or like 3 teams of 7, just depending on numbers. And the losing team will have their worst player take the blue bib, which is the stinking sweater. And it hasn't been washed the whole season. It does stink, although I've never had it. Also, I haven't trained in a while, so that might
But how it works is everybody who's played and everyone who's watched, the coaches, everyone gets one vote. So you get one vote from the losing team of who you think was the worst trainer today. And now, sometimes it just get a little bit political. I might be a little bit loud back into training, giving a few boys some stick. And it starts from the minute we get outside and we start the rondos. And then it ends as soon as the game's done.
But really,
you bring it upon yourself, don't you?
But really...
only the games count.
Only the game counts because I did, in fact, get voted. My boy, Rafe Brown, I'm going to throw you straight under the bus.
Oh, damn.
Straight under the bus. I voted for him, and everyone knew this because I made it public knowledge that I was voting for him. In the rondos, him and Tyler Hatton, we got to 77 passes. 77 passes. If you get to 20 passes in a rondo, you have to stay in. So he did that 3 times, another 17 passes, and they stopped the whole session and they had to run a lap. They had to run a lap.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They had to run a lap, and then he still didn't get the stinking sweater when he gave away 2 goals in the game. But obviously, I thought I was a bit hard done by. I had to do my little speech afterwards. I sat next to Conor Kelly in the change room, and Conor was like, "Oh, who did you vote for?" Which obviously he knew. I said, "Who did you vote for?" And I saw this little smirk. This little smirk came out the
I was going to
side,
say,
came out the side of his mouth, and I said, "Oh my God, I've been done here. You've set me up." And
You're
then Boney
such a
was going around
loser.
saying, "Boney going."
did you wrap me out as well? Oh, no, that's not even funny.
Boney's going around saying,
That's not
I
even
can't believe
funny.
you got voted, so I can't believe you got voted. I cornered Conor and I said, who did Boney vote for? And he went, you as well. We set it up. And I said, you've absolutely done
I
me.
was saying
Brother,
it.
I needed a ride home.
I was saying I voted for Rafe.
I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk.
I even said to you, do not tell him.
There you go.
Brother,
so
I need-
it was
I
all a
needed a
setup.
ride.
It was all a setup. So
a ride.
I hope Craig and Gaffer hear this because Craig was trying to give me some jip after. He was buzzing that it was me, but it was all set up.
Now
So-
listen, I will say, I don't, brother, you were not on your best form. I'm not gonna lie.
It's my first training session back in 10 weeks.
Which is expected, but it was always gonna, unless you scored a hat trick, it was always gonna be you.
Yeah,
as
true.
well. So welcome back to training. But yeah, it's good to see you back out there, and hopefully not too long away from the real thing.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You've got to say one more thing about your episode.
So I don't want to steal my boy's shine
Oh,
over
no,
here,
please.
but yeah, when we were doing the footage, obviously my camera had lost about 20 minutes worth of footage, and in that footage, I mentioned a very special someone, my Aunt Diane, who has been,
goat.
I think
She's
I'm actually,
unbelievable. What a lady.
yeah. I'm almost glad it happened because now she gets her own little segment, which I think she deserves. And yeah, she's always, just backed my whole way and been a major part of me really pursuing a professional career. And I will say, I have to, again, give her a shout out. Her with all these holistic medicines. My bathroom looks like an absolute pharmacy with all the vitamins, with all the vitamins I'm taking.
The castor oil,
what's cayenne pepper?
Reduce cayenne pepper in his bathroom.
That is cold.
Yeah, you know, it looks like a kitchen a bit as well. But
and I must say that when Aunt Diane, when she came over to England, when she came over to England to see you, she took us out for a meal, and honestly, she was lovely, such a lovely woman. Yeah. She took us out to the meal. She sat there. She didn't even eat herself. And she paid for everything. And we said, "Well, what a lovely woman." And we're looking forward to going to America so we can repay the favour.
It was tapas, so you know how tapas works. It all comes out and you share it. And she wasn't eating anything. I was thinking, well, nice. It's more food for me.
More food for the 18 stone.
Boney was splitting a chorizo with her, a chorizo paella. She didn't touch it.
I was buzzing. Absolutely buzzing.
Boney's just there, just punching it into his mouth. You want any of this?
Nah, but again, you know, she absolutely loved you boys. She loved her time in Maidstone as well. So
we'll be seeing her
hopefully
soon.
We'll be
seeing her soon in a couple of months, actually.
Yeah, and hopefully she'll make a trip over again next season and able to watch me play, because I think the match that she came over is my second game out, and I was, maybe I'll make it back for that. And wow, I was definitely wrong on that one, but yeah.
She'll be back.
Hopefully she'll be back next season, and yeah, we'll all go out. Maybe we'll go out for French this time. Well, French
Sounds
restaurant.
Oh, what's that place in town?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Fredericks.
Fredericks.
Yeah.
We'll go there or something. I've heard good things about that.
One more thing, actually. Obviously, it was Mother's Day on the weekend. Connor and I, our mothers aren't here, and obviously for you, actually, it's not even not even Mother's Day.
Just another Sunday, wasn't it?
So Connor and I spent the day together, and we were actually around Sam Bones whilst he went to his family house to see his mum, and this boy left the card at home. He left the card to his mum at home, and we also saw.
You texted me, by the way.
No, we had to bring this on the pod.
Oh, did you open the card?
No.
I was going to say, because it wasn't an actual
Brother,
Mother's Day card.
What we saw, we didn't even need to open the card.
It was arguably worse. This boy wrote to mum on the
panic here.
To mum on the front of the card, and he is so big time. He said he was big time when he's at Charlton. He's big time when he's at Maidstone United. He signed it with his signature and number 15.
You should have actually gone into the card. I don't know why I'm saying this, but it was actually a happy birthday card, because I got it on the Sunday morning. I went to Aldi. There were no Mother's Day cards left. So what I did was I just put where it says happy, then birthday, scribbled out birthday, and just put Mother's Day. And then in the card it says have a great birthday. Scribble that out. Have a great Mother's Day.
I wouldn't think you'd be this lazy with the morning miracle.
I'm gonna out myself here though. We've all been there on the Mother's Day or the day before. I gotta get flowers or something. And you go, the worst ones left.
No, these were nice. And I don't really know what I'm doing with flowers as well, so I just bought the most expensive ones that were in Aldi.
Too much cash.
Cool, bro.
Too much cash.
No.
But it was actually quite nice. Me and Connor, we went round Tops' house, and because his mum was working, my mum actually FaceTimed me. I FaceTimed her actually. A bit late. She said she was waiting all afternoon for it.
Damn.
We had a lovely chat. She met Connor properly. She wasn't a big fan of your haircut, which she did say.
No, because you know what? She switched up. She was saying how I'm quite articulate on the pod, and I was like, Miss Wanjau-Smith, I know what you're saying behind me about me behind closed doors. Coming for the middle part, saying look like. But she's used the word nerd. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you do. But it looks better when you just go natural. Like, I don't know why you put gel in
the
it.
Product
Last week it looks really well. In fact, that can be something that they put in the comments.
Yeah. No, I'm still
if
trying
it looks
to sort
better
out
with gel or without gel.
I think I just go back to the man bun days. Honestly, I might grow it out again.
No.
Yeah. No, won't be doing that.
One more thing.
Yep.
It is indeed, when this comes out, it is Paddy's Day.
So I was going to point to the shirt.
So Conor is wearing his Celtic jersey. I wanted to get a Dublin GAA top, but they didn't ship to England. So I've gone with the closest thing to Irish, I suppose. I've gone green jumper. So I was miles off it.
Well,
completely
to be fair,
forgot.
I'm a Kilkenny fan. Shout out to Trevelyan Hayes. So I'm just going to keep my yellow and black behind me.
Nice.
Just for the Kilkenny colours.
For any Irish listeners that are watching this on Sunday, happy St. Patrick's Day. Hope you have a lovely day with the family. Well, I hope you've had a lovely day because this will be going out in the evening. Hope you've had a lovely day with the family. Man, I wish I was there. I do miss the Paddy's Days in Ireland. I used to love them.
Yeah.
I used to love them. I'm going to be sat there on Sunday.
With the Guinness.
Jealous. With the Guinness. No, we got a game on Monday.
No, of course.
Don't disrespect yourself.
Of course.
So
I was waiting for the first don't disrespect yourself on the pod. I'm glad it's finally made it.
Yeah, so now look, I hope you've had a lovely day, and hopefully we'll be there next year.
Yeah, so without further ado, Wanjau-Smith, what was your first football memory?
I've got to say, guys, I've been looking forward to this moment
Oh,
for a long time.
We knew that. We knew that.
I don't know. You guys need to buckle in. Go get some food. Go get a snack or something.
Get the popcorn out.
We could be here for a few hours. This could be the longest episode yet.
Hopefully by the end of the episode.
I'm going by a month-by-month account of my career.
With how comfortable this boy is on camera, if we're shooting for an hour 15 episode, maybe we'll hit the time he was under 12s. We'll get about 0 to 12.
Part 6.
Yeah.
Part 6 just
That's
making
your
it
time,
to
bro.
100.
You've listened to me. You've listened to Connor.
They both put me to sleep, so if you made it through those, then
It's
fair
your,
play.
But without
Fair
further
enough.
ado,
Sorry.
Right, give us your first footballing memory then.
So my first footballing memory was playing for a side called Wanjau United, which is just my local team with all my friends, age 5. I tried to actually join at 4, but they wouldn't let me because you couldn't get any insurance for a 4-year-old.
Oh, really?
So I had to join when I was 5. And that was just where I first fell in love with football. I probably loved football before that. I've got a few photos that I'll try and put in of me just playing in the garden and stuff. And I don't know, I've just always loved football. I fell in love with Thierry Henry, with Arsenal, and that sort of just ignited everything. I think they were so good at the time when I was 3 and 4. So
the Invincible season.
yeah, exactly. So how could you not love watching Thierry Henry? And I actually remember him playing at Highbury, which is a bit strange because that's such a long time ago.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
still a memory of me being able to watch that. I don't even know how I do remember that, but that's just still ingrained in my brain.
It is funny how, like, I don't really remember much outside of football until, like, 5 or 6. I feel like anything before 5 is just sport related.
No, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But I remember I'm still so fixated on football now, and I always have been. So, like, my memory for certain little details and stuff, I do claim sometimes I have a photographic memory just to try and be out there and be a little bit cool, but I can
You're the
just
closest
still see.
person I've met to having a photographic memory.
No, it's scary.
100%.
It is scary.
And yeah, that's just definitely what ignited it. And yeah, playing on a Saturday, on a Sunday with my mates, just loving it. Still probably toe piloting the ball. I've got a few little pictures of me as mascot for Cleveland Town, which is a local side that I used to go to watch with my nan and stuff. And yeah, that was just where I fell in love with it.
Fun memories.
So, who was your first club? Wanjau United?
Wanjau United, yeah,
And
yeah.
how long did you stay there for?
So I stayed at Wanjau United from 5 until 11. I was actually picked up by Bristol City at under 10s, or as I was 10. One of my best friends, Ryan Ford, his granddad was a scout for Bristol City, and he took me up there. And the academy system was a little bit different back then. Like now, you have like a strict 6-week or 8-week trial. I had an initial 6-week trial where I was selected there was like 300 of us that went for a trial, and then
300?
200 to 300 within the under 10s, under 11s, and only 6 from each age group were selected.
Oh, really?
And it was through like the Evening Post, which if you're from Bristol, you know what it is. It's just like it's basically like Kent Online.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
posted in Kent Online equivalent, the 6 names, and I was one of the 6.
Really?
Yeah, and then I was there for a year. Whereas normally I wasn't actually signed, but normally you do a 6-week trial, and then after the 6-week trial you get you're there or not. Whereas I was there for a whole year, and then I got released after a year. Then I went straight to Bristol Rovers, which is obviously the slightly smaller club in Bristol. A few of my boys, shout out Sam Miles, he won't like that one because he's a big Bristol Rovers fan. And he was actually angry when I said about West Ham, about all my boys are Bristol City fans who went to go watch Bristol City West Ham. He was fuming because he's a massive Rovers fan, and he's like, "Have you?"
Oh, he wasn't there?
No, he was there with me in the West
right, I
Ham
was
end.
gonna say. Yeah,
he was
yeah,
supporting
yeah.
West Ham because he's a Bristol
Of
Rovers fan.
Yeah, of course.
And then similar sort of thing happened at Bristol Rovers. I was there for a year, and then I was let go of. And after that, I wanted to go play in like a kind of a Kent League equivalent in Bristol, and I joined a team called Nicholas Wanderers, which was full of a lot of lads that had been released from clubs, and a lot of scouts and stuff used to just come and watch us. And I stayed there till I was about 15. But when I got to 15 and it was my GCSE year, I said, you know what, I'm travelling to Bristol like 3-4 times a week to come play for this club. You know what, I'm just going to go back and play with my mates for like one final year where we're all going to be together. So I went back to Wanjau United, which is honestly some of the most fun I've had. I was playing in Woodspring Div 2 and having loads of fun. And that kind of, I don't know, I think I've been quite lucky where I was released at such a young age that I got over it by the time I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
Whereas when lads are released at 16 and 18 and it's their whole life,
Yeah, of course.
their whole world's crashing down.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
100%.
When you got released, did that ever like diminish your love for football a bit, or like maybe not like change the way you thought about the game, but just I don't know, you've seen like a darker side of the game at a young age. Does that affect you kind of moving forward?
I think to an extent it probably did immediately, but then long term, I think I'm always going to love football. I know I was going to love football. And
Yeah.
even now, like, say you get released from a club when you're older, I'm always going to play football. I fell in love with football for a reason. I initially played football because I loved it, not because, I want this to be my career. It was just, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be in a position where I was picked up by one of the professional clubs. And even though it didn't come to what I'd hoped and I didn't get signed by them, it's not going to stop my love for it, and it's not going to stop me wanting to go further and still playing with my friends and enjoying it. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And when you went, so obviously when you've gone back to Nails United to kind of just have fun with your friends at 16, is your goal at this point still to have a career in football?
I think in the back of my mind, I always thought I'd be able to have a career, or at least be able to push myself a little bit. At the time, I think it was just had to concentrate a little bit on my GCSEs. I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't the hardest worker in school.
Put that photographic memory to work. Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't the hardest worker in school, and I probably messed around a little bit too much. I think if anyone knows my personality, I'm probably a little bit too loud.
Teacher's nightmare.
Yeah, I was a bit of a teacher's nightmare. Teacher's nightmare. I wasn't naughty, but I wasn't as applied as I should have been. So I thought, you know what, for my GCSEs, let me just try and see.
I can imagine you back chatting the teacher and like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. The teacher trying to tell you, no, you're wrong.
Undermining them. I used to love it. I used to get
questioning
them.
them.
No, you would actually be. I'm
just trying to think now. Like, we do coaching outside of this. If I had a kid like you that I was coaching, I think I'd pack it in.
No, you'd send him away. You'd send him
to the next group. Give him to Ben May.
You would get
Ben,
passed
come
around
take him. I'm not doing it with this fella.
You get passed around every group weekly.
No, I used to be a little bit of a know-it-all. Not anymore. I'm very, very grounded.
Yeah.
Very.
Shushi?
Same soul or what?
But no, I was just playing, enjoying it. But actually, before I even went back to Nails United, I was still playing for my county side, which was still quite a big thing for me.
That is big. It's like, you wouldn't know it actually, Conor, but that's quite big. Playing for your county in England.
Yeah.
It's
basically the step below an academy. And because I was playing for my county, and out of like the starting 11, so to speak, 9 of them were in academies. I was in Bristol City, Bristol Rovers. I think one was playing for Cardiff. And then there was just 2 of us who weren't actually at a pro club. So that kind of always gave me a little bit of hope that, if I'm still in and around these boys and still playing with them, and I still feel comfortable playing with them, then maybe in a few years' time, it might just come for me. And I was a bit of a late grower, to be honest. I was the opposite of Sam Bone. I was in year 10. I was still only about 5'2", and I was built like an absolute twig. Even when I was 18.
How old is year 10?
14, 15.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I used to tower above you. That's crazy.
Yeah, I grew really, really late. Really late.
Some of us stopped growing at that age. I'm one of them.
And now I'm 6'5", according to Football Manager on my first season. So
is it? You're 6'5"?
6'5" on Football
and
Manager.
And you're left-footed?
Yeah.
Left-footed. I remember actually, because I bought it for the PlayStation. Did a little career with Maidstone. You're left-footed, yeah.
And it's
I've heard on Football Manager I'm valuable but quite useless in the game.
No, I wasn't playing you, brother.
Although you weren't playing. Did you sell me or what?
No, you're just there. You're in and around it for morale.
Yeah, just a good morale booster for the squad. You know, good changing room guy.
Thanks.
Just a bit of cultural diversity. That's
there
what
we
it
go.
is.
I had a DM maybe about 2 weeks ago from a random guy. Definitely not in England. I don't know where he's from, but he was saying that I've carried him to League One in Football Manager, and he's like, "I love you, bro." I was like,
you get some mad stories on there, like people that like do a random career with a club, and then they fall in love with the club, and they go and like visit it and stuff.
That's happened to 2 lads from Holland. Went to West Supermare this week.
Really?
Yeah, and it was the first time
they've
taken them all the way to the Champions League.
No way.
But there's Champions League. I got a shout out the Frogmore.
That's a goal on mine.
The Frogmore Lunchtime Club. If you've seen them on
is that the one
on Instagram?
Yeah. He raves about you, by the way. He goes on about you guys.
Lunchtime Club with the boys, because they actually found me on Football Manager. Just started speaking to me, whatever, just saying
it's an Instagram, right?
Yeah, it's an Instagram, and then they got like a TikTok and stuff, and then they've like blown up on Instagram and TikTok.
Went viral, yeah.
They just scored an absolute worldy like sport Bible and stuff for reposting them, and they were only following me. So
that's cold.
Hey, I've got to show.
Could be one of your coldest moments. That is.
They're the boys, man. They're the boys. So shout out the boys.
So I think one thing that I always think about as an American is just how many football clubs there are in England. There's 92 football league clubs, 24 National League. There's how many? 48 at Step 2. It seems like there's an endless amount of clubs. But it's funny, where you're from in England, there's actually not many professional clubs, are there?
There's hardly any. I mean, obviously the two Bristol clubs, Bristol Rovers, Bristol City. I had a little trial at Exeter City, but that's still about an hour and a half from me on a good run. So yeah, there aren't many big clubs. I think Yeovil's about an hour and a half away from me. When I was younger, they were definitely flying, definitely up there. It's only in the sort of recent years as well, like within the Conference South, that there's like 5 or 6 teams are actually from the Southwest. And even look at this year, sorry, there's no team from the Southwest that's even in the conference, in the National League. So no, there's definitely, I'd say, a little bit of less opportunity in the Southwest for that. And once you've been to the clubs like Bristol City, Bristol Rovers, it's kind of hard to then get another trial and get back in, because I think once a club's kind of made a decision on you, they're looking for fresh, new ideas rather than going back to you. Yeah.
So do you think like a lot of boys from your area kind of just don't have the opportunity to be seen if they fall out with those 2 clubs? Like if they're, how many Seoul Wanjau-Smiths are there that have been released that, you know, say they were in London, would have gone maybe to a League 2 academy or a League 1 and continued and gone on and have good careers? Do you think there's a lot of boys like that?
I think potentially. But I actually think that it means that I haven't really played like step 4 and step 5 round here, but I think that the lower levels of non-league are actually stronger in the Southwest. Not obviously all the clubs, because there's money in teams around here, but I think overall in non-league, there's a lot of lads that sorry, if you can hear, we're obviously back in the Coach Norses. I think someone's making a little coffee back there or something.
Listen, if we get enough likes and subscribers, maybe one day we'll be able to buy our own studio. But for now, you're going to have to deal with some background noise.
A little barista making us a coffee, thank you.
Making me a coffee. Cool.
But no, I think that, say, like step 3 and step 4 can be really strong around there, because once people fall out of those big clubs, there's not really anywhere else to fall. So if then when you go into non-league, there's quite a lot of opportunity to then try and build back up.
So when did your non-league career actually start then?
So when I went back to Nels United and finished my under-16 season there, I actually went into the men's setup, and it's just a normal thing that there was no real under-18s team there, so went straight into the men's.
And what step are they?
So the first team play in step 7. So it's not a very big club.
That's the one that didn't qualify for the FA Cup, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Their first team was actually really good at the time. I think 2 years before they'd won the league for like the 3rd year in a row and stuff, but they just couldn't go out because they didn't have floodlights and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
But there was a bit of a rule when I first went in there that if you're a young 16-year-old, you can't go into the first team. You can't even go into reserves. You can't go into the 3rd team. You have to start in the 4th team. So my first experience of men's football was in Western District. I think it's like Division 4, which is probably the equivalent of maybe like step 10.
Really?
Maybe even, no, probably actually lower than that. Maybe like step 13, step 14 of the football. So like
step 30. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's going to be around
there was a step. Is it Sunday League at this point?
It's basically Sunday League.
Yeah, I was going to say, what does it
basically
look
Sunday
like?
League.
Is it just horrible pitches? And
Well, I mean, in the county league at step 7, you don't have line nose. So imagine what it's like all the way at the bottom of that league.
wow,
Like it's absolutely shocking.
some Brexit centre halves as well.
I mean, people were just trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
But I think I scored 5 goals in 3 games for them, and then they put me in the reserves for a game, and I was the youngest player in the reserves by like 2-3 years.
Okay.
Played 1 or 2 there, and then they eventually let me go into the first team. And to be honest, I absolutely loved it. Like going from playing kids football where there's a lot of like playground players, didn't really matter if you won or lost, but it was like quite cool if you went past someone. So then it was men who were like, let's win this game, like doing everything. It was a really experienced side around me, and then I used to just play out wide. Because as a youngster, I was always a striker. Shout out Anthony Hill, which is Ethan Hill's dad. When I went back to Nels United, he put me as a winger because they just couldn't get the ball to me when I was playing up front. They just couldn't get it forward. I wasn't touching the ball in some games. They were like, right, let's put you out wide. So when I went to Nels United, I started playing out wide, and that kind of just changed the way that I played. Going into men's football, and you have to learn how to use your body, how to protect yourself at such a young age. I think that's why it's kind of stood me in good stead for further on in my career.
Well, I mean, think of it. From 16 to now, you've probably gone up 11 steps.
Yeah,
it's quite crazy.
It's crazy how technically I've played in the National League, so I've gone from the bottom of non-league to the very top of it. It is quite cool to think, and I don't think I would have thought at the time when I first went to Nels United that would even be possible.
Yeah.
So that was my next question. So you see, when you're at Nels United and you're in the first team, like, are you playing here to try and get a move? Like, obviously, if you're doing well, then perhaps clubs might say, "Well, look, so we might take you in." Was that Was that like your thought process behind it? Like keep doing well here, and I'll gradually keep going up the leagues. Was that your mindset? Or?
Definitely not. Definitely
Really?
not. At the time, definitely not.
So was you just playing for fun then?
It was just playing to get my introduction to men's football.
Right. Okay.
I actually signed for Western Supermare under 18s, and Western were in the Conference South at the time.
Cool.
So when I was like 16 in my first year, I was playing for Nails United, and then when it got to the end of my first year, so to speak.
Yeah, end of that season.
And then a new manager came in. My manager was actually Jake Morford, who I have to give a massive shout out to him because he helped me loads. He was actually my manager at my county side.
Oh,
And
cool, nice.
So it was nice that I already knew him and stuff. And
absolutely.
he was actually a player for Western Supermare, so he was a first team player.
Wow.
And he's just always someone who's really believed in me and someone I just felt comfortable playing under. And he said to me, he was like, look, your goal at the end of this year should be to try and get in with the first team at my Supermare. If you're playing at step 7, are they then going to let you play at step 2? And he was like, I was like, well, no. He's like, well, you have to leave Nails United, really.
Yeah,
to try and play for a different club that, that then Scott Bartlett, who's still the manager at the time, will then have a look at you. And Western was absolutely unbelievable. I had an unbelievable season, really good season, and I actually ended up getting picked up by Southampton, which is so strange that I was playing step 7 for Nails United and then ended up playing in the under-18s Premier League.
You must have really appreciated them the first day you walked into their training ground. You saw like perfect grass pitches, unbelievable facilities. What was that like?
But wait there, no. So you've left Nails United and you've signed for Western, and you're doing well with Western. Is that when this Southampton thing? Because I missed that then.
So it was a pre-season game.
Right.
We played against Plymouth Argyle.
Nice.
And Southampton were actually there watching a Plymouth player.
Yeah.
And I think we were playing their under 17s and we were the under 18 side. And I scored a hat trick. And I had a really good game. And then the next game we played in the FA Youth Cup against Cleveland Town, who's the side I was a mascot for as younger.
Wow.
And we beat them, I think 4-3 or 4-2, and I scored another hat trick. And then the week after, I was going in at Southampton.
What was that
trial.
like for you?
Honestly, I can't even describe how it was. It was unbelievable. I actually have to give a shout out to the late Rod Ruddock.
Damn, you're coming in with all these shout outs.
No, I have to.
Right?
Sorry,
a lot of
name
people.
drop.
But that's good though. It's good that you've had people that have helped you to where you are now. You need good people.
Unfortunately, he passed away last year, I believe, and he was the scout who he scouted Gareth Bale.
Oh, wow.
And he was the one who picked me up. And I remember after the Cleveland game, he came around my house. He was sat on my sofa and he was saying, "We want to take you in." And I was a bit like,
awesome.
This is mental. Honestly, it felt like a dream. And obviously, I didn't get signed by Southampton in the end, but even the experience of being a 17-year-old lad who's gone from playing literally dog and duck football to then being able to play at Southampton, play in the under-18s Premier League, play with players like Will Smallbone, who's smashing it for Southampton at the moment, Michael Obafemi, Jan Valery, who was there at the time.
Wow.
2 Irish boys they are as well. On Paddy's Day episode.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Nice.
It was surreal, to be honest. And I think you definitely have a bit of imposter syndrome when you're there because you're thinking, how am I at this club when I've come from absolutely nothing? I remember when I first went in, the club doctor said, "Oh, are you from West Brom?" And I went, "Oh no, I'm from West Supermare." And he said, "Oh, everyone thought you were from West Brom." And I said, maybe they got it mixed up. That they just thought, maybe he lied and said I was from West Brom, thinking that I'd actually come from a decent club.
Yeah.
But it was honestly mental. But the unfortunate thing about that was I had to stay in hotels. I stayed with a little host family for a little while, but I was there for 2 months, and I was actually doing my A levels at the time. And if anyone's done A levels, you know that they're pretty intense, and it meant that decision I then had to miss. I missed like basically 2 months of school, so I had to retake a whole year.
Oh, that's where
So I had to take it back a whole year. So then
okay.
I ended up being 19, and I was still in sixth form, which was a bit tough for me mentally because all your mates have moved on, they've all gone to uni, they've gone to get jobs and stuff, and you're still there in school, and you're thinking,
But Conor, I don't want to skip forward there. So you can come back onto that, but you see then when this Southampton thing doesn't work out, do you go back to Western Supermare?
Yeah, I did go back to Western.
Cool.
Real quick, how far was Southampton from you, where you live in Bristol?
It's about 2 hours.
2 hours. Wow. So was that your first time like being away from home for an extended period of time?
And it was my first time being away from home, sorry. My first time playing full-time football. I remember after the first week, I think it was maybe the third session, I remember I got home to the hotel room and I fell asleep. I didn't wake up until like 11 o'clock at night, hadn't eaten or anything. And I was like, I didn't know where I was. All the lights were on. And I was thinking, oh my God, like I didn't even know what to do. And the chaperone actually ended up waking me up.
Really?
And they were like, "Are you okay?" and stuff.
Yeah,
And
no,
was
I
like,
was the same when I first went into Charlton first time. First time, yeah. It takes it out of you, like trying to get your body like to adapt to that intensity of training, or
Yeah, because when you're training like with Nails United growing up, how many times a week are they training? What, Tuesdays, Thursdays?
probably once,
Yeah,
twice at a
bro.
push. But I was training with some other clubs at the same time to make sure that I was
Mm.
still topped up. And you can play for multiple clubs and stuff, so you do multiple training sessions. But
And he was doing the Matt Sheldon stuff as well.
there you go, shout out Sheldon. But the intensity is nowhere near it. It's nowhere near it.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, to compare systems, like us being the Two Brits, One Yank podcast, it's quite funny how, like, I think in academy in the US, I would play, because you don't play games from December to March because the winter, it's more like training based. You train 3 or 4 days a week, but I think the most amount of games you'll play in a season is like 30. Like, how many games at 16 were you playing between all your clubs and everything, if you had to guess?
Definitely, I think in the under 18s, I think it wasn't that big of a league, so probably only about 24 games in that league.
Okay.
But then I was also playing men's football at the same time. So then we're still playing, maybe like 50 games a season.
No wonder your body's in bits now. But 50 games a season.
So you're almost playing as many games as you have training sessions per season.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But again, that's a really good education and introduction to men's football. Is I feel like games is really, really where you learn. Training is so important for developing technique and everything.
You get all the experiences.
But just to become a winner and everything,
Of course.
you need to play matches.
And that's always my excuse, that I'm a very bad training player. I can't get up for training, which I think is why Gaffer and Craig have really tried to change my mentality of, when I've been at other clubs, it's just been get through training and the game's where you do your bits. But because now I'm in a full-time environment where every single day has to be live and breathe and
exactly. And I think it's important there. I agree with you, but you don't obviously learn everything from playing matches. Like, you learn the winning mentality of it.
Tactical.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of your technical ability and all that sort of stuff, that comes from training. That comes from training. Just so people are aware that does come from working on your craft daily and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that takes I always say, you prepare. I always say that I'm about to. I've lost.
Prepare.
It sounds like you've never said it.
I always say, no, this is the LeBron thing. That's my favorite saying.
My mind's gone blank there, but no, you prepare. You train the way you play.
That's my favorite saying.
Finally, I got it. It's my favorite saying, but I forgot it. You train the way you play.
Yeah, Rashford. Oh, yeah, I love that saying.
But if you go into games sleepwalking and you haven't prepared right, you're just gonna come unstuck. So it's so important that during the week and all, you're switched on. You're getting yourself ready for the game. And then when you come into game, it's just autopilot. It comes naturally then,
And also, that is where a lot of teams are picked, is in training.
No,
100%. So I just wanted to say that just so the viewers don't go, I'm going to bother it off this
No,
week.
definitely not.
And
I'm saying
to
that
the matches and I'll learn then effectively.
No,
It's
I'm
not
saying
how it
that
works.
my mentality had to change from that's how it used to be when I was younger.
Yeah.
And now at this level, you can't get away with
Exactly.
that.
You learn. You live and you learn,
Yeah.
of course.
But
And again, I don't want to be holed up on training too long, but especially with our management team.
Yeah, of course.
You cannot get away with that, which is how it should
Of
be.
course.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So when I came back from Southampton, I think I just assumed that because I'd been at this Premier League under 18 side, I'd been training with the 23s there, that I just assumed that, okay, I'll come back and I'll play from West Supermare first team. And Southampton ended up releasing me because I wasn't ready in their mind to play in the Premier League in 18 months, which I think is very, very fair. I was such a slight kid. I was probably only around 55, 60 kilos. Hadn't ever been in the gym before, nothing like that. So when I came back to Western, I was nowhere near ready for... If I wasn't ready for under 18s football at Premier League level, I definitely wasn't ready for men's football at Step 2 level, where it's
So
ball in
rough,
the air.
isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that was my kind of ego at the time, thinking I deserve to be here. That it was quite hard for me to understand why I wasn't getting that opportunity, and I wasn't even training with the first team at the time. And they actually sent me out on loan to a team called Shepton Mallet, which is Step 5.
Yeah, so before we get into all the steps, because I feel like we've chatted about it a bit, I want to just give a little background, especially to the American viewers who might not understand what Step 5 is. So obviously the first division in England, the highest level you can play is the Premier League, and then the Football League begins, so it's Championship, League 1, League 2. So League 2 is the 4th division. From there, you get in the non-league game, which is obviously what we play. So the highest level of non-league is the National League. That's one league above this. That's Step 1. So step 5 is technically the 9th division of English football.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that in there.
No, I think that's really important so that everyone can understand. So before I was playing in the 11th division of English football, it's step 7 with Wanjau United, and now I got my first loan move to step 5 at Shepton Mallet, and to be honest, I absolutely hated it. It was completely out of my comfort zone. I was getting battered by centre-halves each week trying to play up front, whereas I thought I was more comfortable playing as a winger, but because I played for the under-18s at Western up front, they wanted me to go play up front in this league because it was just transition and try and be the same thing, but absolutely hated it. But I actually really respect my time and understand why now I hated it, because it was just out of my comfort zone. The managers and stuff were just being harsh on me to kind of rough me up and to get me adjusted to that sort of level. And I was probably a little arrogant 17, 18-year-old thinking that I deserved to walk into this team. And they were kind of showing me that, no, I wasn't really ready for it.
But that's where I suppose that's where you subconsciously, you probably didn't realise, but you were probably learning a lot then. And it helped you to grow up and understand men's football a little bit more, no?
No, loads. And shout out to Craig Loxton, actually. He was my manager at the time. He had actually been a West-Supermare first-team player a few years before. So he knew the level. He knew in himself that I was never, at the time, I was never going to be ready for it. So I think he was just trying to give me a bit of tough love to really, to try and boost me a little bit that season. But then I actually ended up leaving Western because I felt like I just wasn't getting the opportunity there. And sometimes it's better to take a step back to hopefully take a step forward. That was my thought pattern and my thought behind it. I went back to Shepton Mallet for pre-season. I remember after one session, I got pulled by the gaffer and he said, "Look, we don't think you're going to play here." And again, my ego was saying, "How have I gone from playing for Southampton in the 18th Prem to now I can't even kick a ball for a step 5 side?" And that's where I went to Cribs, who I went to go and play for free. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Is that the same? Sorry, is that the same league as?
Sorry, yeah, step 5 still.
Cool.
So went to play for Cribs, playing on an absolute carpet, playing with one of my best friends, Sam, the Bristol Rovers fan, and I was absolutely loving it. And I ended up scoring the winner that season against Shepton Mallet, which is one of my fondest memories from my time at Cribs.
What was the celebration?
It was a humble one. I did think,
wow,
or it could have been an Eastline.
So being humble.
It was a humble one. It was a humble one. It was just, you know what, we're playing for free. They got a bit of a budget, and we're hard in the league. That says enough. You know what I mean?
There you go.
The passion always goes over money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the?
I'll tell you what though, that missing 20 pounds per week must have hurt though.
Yeah, it did hurt. To be fair, it didn't even cover the petrol money to get to Shepton Mallet and back from my house.
No Tesco meal deals for you.
Was you driving at that point as well?
Yeah, just right. That was
damn.
That was honestly that was honestly
on the sofa at 25 years of age.
But because of where I live, like, it was not really accessible to get to places without a car. Like, as soon as I was 17, that's actually a story about Southampton. I was 17, and as soon as I turned 17, I did my theory. I was actually on trial at Southampton, and I had to go home to take my driving test for one day.
Cold.
And then I went straight back, and I passed it, and I went straight back, and all the boys were saying, "Did you pass?" I said, "Oh yeah," and they were like, "You haven't driven in about 3 weeks." I said, "Yeah, I guess I just got lucky and passed it."
Some people just have the technique. You got to teach this boy over here.
Some people cannot be taught.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Hey, he needs an automatic car.
Literally.
That's what he needs.
I'm debating it, by the way. So
Get that American automatic. It's like driving a golf cart.
I'm genuinely debating it. Spoke to my mum last week. She said, "No, Sam, you got to carry on.
Just get a mobility scooter, bro.
With your manual." Get out of here. I'm not doing that.
So where did you go? So you're at Cribs at this point,
Yeah.
and did you decide to stay on for another year?
So I stayed for 2 seasons.
Okay.
So
And
first season was
how
still
old
just
are you?
adjusting. So I was 18 at this point.
Okay.
And then when I turned 19, that was my final year there, and I ended up having a really good season. I scored 20 league goals. I think we did play about 40 league games. So it was quite a lot, but I was playing out wide. I actually scored a hat-trick on Boxing Day, which is technically my first ever hat-trick. So
Nice.
obviously the Stenning one this season was my first professional hat-trick in the FA Cup. But I'd already scored one against Roman Glass on who people won't understand who that is, but it's like a local rivalry. And that was quite cool, actually. It was actually 2 penalties. Scored another one before half-time, and they took me off at half-time.
Wow.
And they said, that's enough for today.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
It's a nice little Christmas
enough for
present,
today.
though, isn't it?
Can't enjoy
Yeah,
your
yeah.
Boxing Day.
And to be fair, because of the age of this, I remember I got given a bottle of Prosecco, and me and the boys went out that night with a bottle of
really?
Prosecco. And I was only 18, 19, and those are such fond memories. But then, at the end of that season, when I was 19, I had an opportunity from Alex Lumsden, who's someone I worked with, to go play for Slimbridge at Step 4. And I remember that everyone was saying, "Oh, it's too early. It's too early. It's still so young." And they'd offered me £45 a week.
Oh,
wow!
Which, hey, for me at the time that was some good money.
Yeah.
But realistically, I was getting more offered at Step 5 from other clubs. But I said, you know what?
Step 4.
I'm just gonna go try my luck.
Upper level.
And to be honest, it went really well, and it's a really good decision for me. We're a big underdog at Step 4. Probably had the smallest budget in the league. I ended up scoring 19 goals in 21 games.
Wow.
And from out wide still. That was quite tough because I didn't really work hard off the ball.
Okay.
Which is probably a bit weird because now I'd say that my game's changed a lot where I say I'm a hard working forward. At that time I was a lazy winger who wouldn't track back anything, but I'd just be the out ball.
The Kylian Mbappe of Step 4, huh?
That's kind of how I wanted to play. I just wanted to play out wide, wasn't going to move, ping me the ball, and I just go 1v1 and I just try and score every time I got the ball basically. And fortunately, I had a really good season. Absolutely loved it there, Slimbridge. Lovely little club. And then COVID hit. And before COVID, I was training with Bath City, which I've mentioned before. And I was hoping maybe I'd get an opportunity to go and play there. Bristol City were
Why was you training with Bath City? They'd seen obviously how good you were doing with your Step 4 club, and they said, right, come in on trial.
So it was actually through a Bristol City scout who, when I was at Nicholas Wanderers, one of my old clubs, James Morton, who now plays for Southend, his dad was a Bristol City scout, and they were looking at me a little bit whilst I was at Slimbridge.
Cool.
And he was like, look, we can't really take a boy from Step 4. If you go and play Step 2 with Bath City and you do well, it's where we send some of our young players, then we might be able to have a look at you a bit more. So he got me in there, training there, and Bath City had a really weird setup at the time where they had 5 loanees and they only had about 7 fit players who were actually signed. Right. So every Tuesday I used to go train with Bath City, and there was 8 of us. Sometimes Jerry Gill actually wouldn't even be there to take the session.
Really?
The sports scientist who got this shirt for me. He was the one taking the session kit.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah, he was taking the session. I was only there for about 6 weeks, and then COVID hit, and I was hoping, like praying that I was going to get an opportunity to go there in pre-season, but it was actually Danny Robinson at Hungerford who offered me a big wage increase. Now I went from £45 to £75.
No way.
Wow.
And I had to about double my journey. So I was travelling about an hour and 30 minutes to get to Hungerford.
What step is it?
But this is Step 2 now. So this is the same league that we play in at Maidstone.
What happened to Bath? So they just...
I think that Bath...
once COVID had settled down, they were just like, oh, we don't need to come back in?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Bath were pushing... So the day I actually first went in at Bath is they played Wealdstone, who ended up winning that league. And they lost 7-0 to Wealdstone, and they were second in the league, Bath were. Wow. So I think as a bit of like a threat to their team, they brought me in just to like, I don't know, just to like kind of upset the rhythm and say like, look, you are kind of replaceable to some of the boys.
Right.
But they were still pushing for the playoffs. They were really looking to get into the National League. And to be honest, I was a lad who's hadn't even played Step 3 before.
Yeah.
If they were going to get to Step 1, would they have given me a chance?
Yeah,
probably
of
not.
course. Of course.
And obviously, like, these wages aren't enough to like live on. Were you doing outside work?
Yeah, so I used to work for a little coaching company called Priority Football, which is where I used to coach Casey Palmer's son. Wow. And shout out to Rob Pryor. Rob Pryor's been honestly excellent for me. He was actually my manager at one point at Nels United and stuff, and he's helped me through so many like tough times and helped my decision making. And he was a coach at Bristol Rovers for a little bit, so he knew the academy system, and he's always kind of been there for me and given me some great advice about always, if you believe you're good enough, keep on pushing it.
Of course.
And he's always been there backing me, saying, no, don't do this. Don't go chase that money at Step 4. Go to Step 2. Go try your luck. And your career is so short that I think it's really important for young players that you might only play till you're 35 if you're lucky. For me, when you've got no responsibility, you've got no family, you've got no kids.
It's not about the money.
It's not about the money. It's all about the
100%.
opportunity. And the opportunity will eventually, the money will come.
Exactly.
And the opportunity will come as long as you're good enough.
Be careful saying that though. Next season, you're gonna get offers of about 150 a week. Oh, come on! I thought it's not about the money. So you might have to edit that one out.
I'm glad you said that though, because there's a lot of children out there that are just, they see the lifestyle of a footballer and the nice cars, the nice trainers and stuff, and they're influenced by that, and they're influenced by money. And it's not the case when you're young. We've all been there. If someone had offered me loads of money when I was younger, but my eyes would light up, you know?
Yeah.
But it's about trying to improve your game at a young age. And then as you get on through your career, Sol's right, the money will, the money will come. The opportunities will come once you've sort of dedicated yourself to your craft.
So you've joined Hungerford in the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
Right? And did National League South play during COVID?
So they were lucky that they actually did play for a little bit.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I did pre-season at Hungerford. We started quite early. The season then got postponed until September. And then it got pushed back even further to October. So we'd had like a 10-week pre-season. And it was really weird. The last week before the pre-season, I played against Gloucester, played really, really well. And I was going to be starting the first game of the season, which is actually away to Truro, who are now in our league, in the FA Cup. And then we played like a Tuesday night game in between, just playing against the Army side, the Army FA.
Yeah.
And Josh Brownhill's brother, Lewis, he snapped me from behind. I came on for like 2 minutes, snapped from behind, and ended up fracturing my ankle. And I didn't know it was fractured. I fractured my talus, which doesn't show up on X-ray. So I had an X-ray, said it's fine. So I was like, I'm okay to carry on. Did like a 12-week rehab program, played a little friendly, ankle blew up straight away. And I thought, this is not right. Went to go get an MRI because Hungerford's a really small club. It's not like Maidstone where the resources are a lot bigger. Like I had to pay for my own scans, had to pay for a lot of stuff. And it turned out that I had a fracture and then the bone had carried on growing naturally as it would. So I had to have an operation. But knowing that I was going to be out for the whole season and having the op, which I had to pay for the most myself, and then the club helped me a little bit, that would be really hard at 19, 20. But because I was at step 2 now instead of step 4, it meant that through COVID, I was still allowed to go to training. I was still allowed to go to watch games. So I was still kind of getting my football fix and my football bug. Whereas there was fans who'd been fans of, say, Maidstone and massive clubs at the level for ages, and they weren't even allowed to go and watch the games. But I was, so I felt really privileged.
Yeah, because the lockdown here was like super intense, right?
Super intense. And like I said, I just felt really, really lucky that I was given that opportunity to still go. And selfishly for me, I was at university at that time. So going back to how I made money, I took out a uni loan while staying at home. I went to the University of West of England. I took out a uni loan, and that loan was kind of just to be petrol money for the season.
Really?
Just so I could get to football. And I said, I think I got £3,000 each year. I was like, this is going to be my money just to get to football. Not going to dip into it, and let's just see where it takes me. And then obviously the COVID hit, wasn't ideal, but then ended up the next season after it went really, really well. And
so Hungerford kept you around for a second year.
Yeah, so I was on a contract, and then obviously got furloughed. So when I got furloughed, I think you're going to get 75% of your wage, so 75% of £75. So
yeah,
but hey, the money's irrelevant. I was still involved at an elite football club. I was still kind of very, very close to achieving my dream of playing at the highest level possible. And I was still doing it. I've got to say actually that I was actually working in a restaurant at the same time, which then shut down because of COVID. But that was some of the best times. I used to work every Friday, every Sunday.
Really?
And every Friday night, so I wouldn't go out with my friends on Friday nights, just making sure that I was ready to play step 4 the next day.
Nice.
Every Sunday, so my recovery was walking around this restaurant for 8 hours. I used to work Christmas Day.
Wow.
Yeah, which I don't think a lot of people knew actually.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was that intense.
Yeah, so I was on £5.50 an hour, and you get time and a half on Christmas Day plus tips. So I'd work 9 until 4 Christmas Day. And then I'd have my my Christmas dinner and stuff and more presents in the evening with my family. Yeah,
it's quite impressive though, like how much you've had to do outside of football just to make having a career accessible.
Yeah,
if you really didn't want it, it wasn't set up for you.
100%.
For instance,
of course,
you really had to go out of your way, which is quite impressive.
But that's why I think it's so important that as long as you I've always believed in myself, and I've been lucky that I have had kind of the carrot dangled in front of me a little bit to say, you know what, you are actually good enough. There are things you need to work on, and that's the most important thing. That if someone tells you need to work on something, like Southampton said, I needed to get bigger, I needed to bulk out. That was what I did, and that's another thing where COVID really helped me, because I was able to watch the Conference South live week in, week out, and it was mental. I actually watched Gaffer play against Hungerford,
No.
Yeah, Hungerford won 2-1. Callum Wilmoth actually scored from a corner. The keeper did punch it in. Jake Evans scored as well. My boy who plays for Chippen at the moment. And I remember just seeing like the size of Gaffer and thinking, oh my God. Like at the time I was still a child.
Yeah.
He would absolutely eat me up, metaphorically and literally. Like he was absolutely massive in comparison. So in COVID, I was just like, I'm just going to try and put on as much size as I could. And yeah, I think when I came back then after that season, I managed to break into the team. Had a really good year. I ended up getting 17 assists and 6 goals. Had a really good partnership with Ryan Seeger, who went on to Dorking. And then I was very lucky that Maidstone took a little punt on me. Hakan actually, when we played the first time, I shout out to Rafe again. I'm going to throw under the bus one more time, Rafe. I went 1v1 with Rafe in the 90th minute, and I went past him and crossed it in, and then Seeger scored. And
poor Rafe, bro. He's such a nice guy.
You know what? Actually, Rafe.
Shout out Rafe.
I might put the video in.
No,
just for Rafe.
He's the nicest guy in the world. You guys are friends. And
we're really good.
Digging him out.
Now we are really, really good friends. And you know what I actually said to him? I said, thank you for letting me do that, because now we've become really good friends. And if it wasn't for that, then Hakan probably would never have said.
I don't think he'd let you do that.
But he defended like he let me.
We're not questioning Rafe Brown's professionalism as well. He wasn't like, this guy looks like a nice guy. I want to play with him next season. Like, come on, bro. You know what that is?
As he's going by, take it past me. Go on, take it past
That's Saul's God complex right there.
Facts.
But then that was actually the game that Regan Booty's probably one of my best friends in football now as well. He actually got sent off twice in that game. One was for the handball on the line, which he actually did handball it, but the lino somehow gave it as a goal. And then he did a horrible tackle, which he should have been banned for 10 games. No, I'm only joking, Regan. He won the ball, and then we all got around the ref. I'm actually going to put a photo. There's a photo of me and Corny going at it, like tussling whilst we're trying to get to the ref. And he's like trying to shove me, so I'm going to put it. I'll put it in for the YouTube listeners and watchers. But Regan got sent off twice, and then we ended up winning that game 3-2. Then the reverse leg, or the reverse fixture later on in the season, is when we went 2-0 up in the first 20 minutes. I did a griddy.
You are
that
miles
sums you
off.
up.
You are so far off.
I did a griddy. Me and Ryan Seeger were talking about the griddy was just becoming a thing. Me and Ryan Seeger the whole way up were saying, if we score, do a griddy. So we both tried to do it. It's like a joke. Went 2-0 up. Then stupid ref gave a penalty for Barham handballing the ball. And
Let's hope the ref's not watching this.
No. I've had the ref a few times. I tell him every time. And he gave a penalty for Barham handballing it, even though he thought it was our defender. Luque scored it. We got a man sent off second half, and then Barham ended up scoring an unbelievable header in the second half, and we lost 3-2. But I remember going off the pitch that Hack can't get in trouble for this, even though he tapped me up a little.
I was going to say,
he did tap me up. He said,
I know the story. I don't know if you should say it.
He came up to me and said, really like you as a player. Where are you from? I said Bristol, and he went, I'm not going to swear, but he went, that's not ideal. That's really not ideal.
Really?
And he's like, well, we're going to have a conversation in the summer. And he stuck to his word. And there were a few other clubs that were very interested in me in the summer. But like I've said before, I think it's really important to go somewhere where, firstly, you're wanted and where you think you're going to play, and then somewhere where you think you're going to be comfortable. And when I came to Maidstone, I did the trip 3 times, all on the same, back and forth, same day. And I just had a gut feeling that this was the right place. Obviously,
go with your gut instincts.
Yeah, obviously it didn't really work out in the for the first season. I had a bit of a better season this year until I broke my foot, and hopefully we can push on in the last bit of the season and we can push into the playoffs. But I never would have thought that going from step 100 to the 5th round of the FA Cup, or being involved in the 5th round of the FA Cup, I never thought that would be possible. I think that's just going back to what I've said earlier about if you're a young player and you really think that you can push up the leagues, it's so important that you have to go to a team where you're going to play firstly. You can't chase money.
Yep.
If when I went to Slimbridge for £45 a week, I could have gone to a team in step 5 or even step 4 for 100 plus. But I knew that I was going to play at Slimbridge, and I believed in myself. I believed that I was going to get the opportunity to then go higher. And even when I went to Hungerford, I could have pushed to try and go on trial at Bath and maybe be used as a squad player at Bath. But I had a gut feeling that, and I was wanted by Hungerford, that I was going to be involved and going to be a bit of a main player. And I think that's just so important. And now look, I'm now in full-time football, living my dream. And I've always wanted and dreamt of being a professional. And now it's something that I have achieved and I'm so proud of.
Yeah. Any regrets throughout your career? I mean, you've just spoken there about obviously going with your gut instinct, but is there any moments that you look back on and say, oh, I wish I did this more? Maybe about the ego situation?
I don't think...
Because in fairness to you, it actually worked out then. But like, yeah, I suppose any sort of regrets or...
I wouldn't say I've had any regrets, like, maybe not regrets. I think there's some things I would have done slightly differently. I think when I was younger, I would have done more, say, gym work and stuff, because I would have looked at what boys in academies were doing and tried to replicate it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of coasting through my younger ages until I got into, say, Western, and when I got into like step 5 and step 4. But I think it's really important that if there's lads who are in academy football and they're training 3-4 times a week and doing day releases, that you can't, it's a bit afraid that you're going to fall too far behind. So it's really important that you try and get to where they are technically as well as physically, because the game is now a physical game.
Yes.
And I'm quite fortunate that I've been blessed with, I'm quick.
Yeah.
And that's probably what sets me apart from a lot of other boys.
Yeah.
Is that I do have a change of pace and I can affect games. But it's something that I have had to work on. And maybe if I'd worked on it a bit sooner, and if I was a bit bulkier when I was a bit younger, then maybe who knows what would have worked out. But I wouldn't change anything for the world. And yeah, I think it's important that even though I did have that ego, so to speak, when I was younger, I think my character might come across as an ego, but I think when you get to know me, you know, I'm not.
No, you're actually quite humble. We do joke, but you are quite humble. And
it's just because we're close to you.
No, of course. But I think that I always felt like I had a point to prove, and I wanted to prove people wrong and say, you know what, I'm going to do this the unconventional way. Yeah. And I always have believed in myself.
If you were to use one word to describe your career, what word would you choose?
Unconventional.
That's a good word.
It's
quite broad as well. I like that.
Unconventional.
Yeah,
do you know what it means?
Boney, spell it.
Don't try and embarrass me on the pod. Disrespect yourself like that.
Unconventional is not the normal route. You know, when lads fall out of academies. I got released and had my rejection so early.
I'm only joking, by the way.
Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, but some people might not understand.
No, we know you're joking.
I actually don't know if he is joking.
No, but go on, carry on.
No, I just got released and had my rejection at such a young age that it never deterred my love for the game. And I think that's so important that even if a lad does get released at, say, 18, like you, Boney, you have to remember that you started playing football because you loved it, not because, this is going to be my job and I want to be a footballer. I think that sometimes now young lads, they see, I want to be a footballer, and they get so hell-bent on that rather than saying, what a game. Why can't we just enjoy the game that we have? And if you're playing your best stuff, then eventually that sort of things will fall into place. And
I also, again, I always say it, but you learn the most through adversity. You learn the most going through your low moments. Like, I promise you now, and I'm not just saying it because it's a podcast, but where I've had my growth has been from the moments where I've been at my lowest, like where football hasn't gone right or there's been health problems in my life. It shapes me to be a better person, and you learn. So don't be disheartened when something doesn't go your way. Life it's not perfect.
Yeah.
You're going to have moments where it doesn't go for you and stuff, but just stay consistent with it. And like I said, you learn the most through adversity.
And
100%.
if you hear all three of our stories, we've all had points where we've had adversity.
There we go.
And now we're all at the same place. Yeah. And everyone's path is so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, we're going to kind of wrap it up here, but one thing...
I have to go to shout out a few people. I've just realised. I've looked down at that I've got a poster down there with a few people's names on, and I haven't even shouted out
Craig, he's got you on here, by the way.
Craig, you're about to get shouted out.
He's got it under, like, have to mention.
But I have to mention my mum first.
Through honourables.
Well, my mum and my family, they've always supported me, and they've always known that I have wanted to make this a career. And with my decisions, my mum has always made sure that I've had a plan B. When I went to university, I wasn't really sure I wanted to go to university, but without her deciding, well, not deciding for me, but without her trying to convince me, I wouldn't have a first-class degree.
Yeah.
And that's something that I can fall back on. I can go become an accountant now afterwards I want to be.
Sorry, your mum's your biggest fan, but she's also the biggest warrior. Tell us that story when you go down and she starts. The reason I've asked you is because you tell it so well.
So there's a few times.
You tell it so well.
This happens on many an occasion. And there was at one point I thought about banning my mum from coming to games. That sometimes I love when she's at games, but sometimes what's good about playing far away is that she can't come to every single one. Because I've had it a few times where I've gone down, and if you know the sort of player I am, I love to buy fouls. I love to bring the physio on. I just like to
Let's
wind
hope there's
people
no
up.
referees watching this from the conference cell.
I was going to say, I don't know if I'd admit this,
But it's just the way I play. It's the way I play. I like to draw fouls. And the amount of times I've gone down, the physio's come on, and I've had it, and I've looked over to the crowd, and my mum's crying. She's bawling out crying, thinking that I'm hurt, thinking that my career's done. And it's honestly happened about 3 or 4 times. And I was saying, like, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. And
then when he's actually injured,
worry.
he plays through a broken foot in that FA Cup third round.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, fair, on that day, I didn't tell my mum.
Yeah, I remember your friend.
Yeah, I couldn't
got
tell my
too
mum
drunk
because
and
she would
he
have been
ratted
too
you out.
worried. But no, my mum is my biggest fan, and I'm so thankful for all her support, and she's always believed in me. Even when I was playing at, say, step 5, step 7, she's always known and always thought that I had something special, and she's never tried to say, you know what, go into this. It's not time to do that.
Yeah.
But she's always low-key set me up for, in case it does fall
Of course.
and does fail, which is so
That's
important.
100%.
Yeah.
But she has always believed in me. And then I think that the final person I want to shout out is Craig, because coming from...
Trying to get himself a new deal, is it?
So Craig, I'll be in the office on on Thursday if you want to. No, but obviously Craig playing at the highest level.
Playing your position as
and playing in my position. I've come from Hungerford, where I was always a winger before I went to Hungerford, and then I played up front in a 3-5-2. So I was a striker, so to speak, but I always played off the main striker. And then coming here, Craig had to try and change my mentality into kind of being more ruthless, into wanting to score more goals. But then I'm a winner. I want to win in any way possible. And that's why probably I win so many penalties and stuff, because I'm willing to go down in situations that people probably wouldn't be willing to. And Craig's really helped me change the way that I view training. And before I was injured, we used to go in, me, him, and Levi at 8:30 every morning, do finishing sessions, and just get comfortable finishing off both feet. My heading has improved. There was
a point there where your heading was really improving. Do you remember how you said it to you in
improved
training?
loads. Yeah, and even if you look at say the Barrow game when I nearly scored a header at home, or the Winchester away, like my heading has come on leaps and bounds. I think I've only actually scored 2 headers in men's football. No, 3 actually, and one of them I went round the keeper and headed it on the line.
Oh, you did.
Oh
yeah, I did.
God.
That's playing for Cribs in the FA
Oh
so
my God.
I might have to put. I think I've got the clip somewhere. I'll put that in now.
Oh wow. Dude, this video's gonna get dislikes.
You never fail to surprise me. That's
It's
one
gonna
thing
get
about you.
dislikes.
Doing that at what step as well? Like you've seen
FA
Ronaldinho.
Vars though.
How
FA
old
Vars
was
is like
you?
18 maybe? 19?
I would have battered you.
Oh my God. I've seen one person do that, and it's not even in person. It's in that Ronaldinho advert. Yeah, this guy moving like the step 4 Ronaldinho. That's crazy.
And then the shirt comes off after and knee slide. But I was getting a lot of abuse. A lot of things that...
Rightly so.
No, I was getting abuse before from fans.
One final thing that I think we should mention is you're actually eligible to play for a country other than England. So tell us a bit more about that.
That is true. My dad is from Kenya, so I'm eligible to play for Kenya. I don't think it's something that I've ever really thought about until maybe the past 2 seasons, that I probably wasn't playing at a level high enough to even be considered. There was a point when I went on trial at Southampton that the under-17s did get in contact, but it did fall through and nothing came to fruition. So it is something that I think my family would be so proud of me if I was ever able to get a call up. My good friend Vince Harper got called up recently. Playing for Exeter after he played for Eastleigh. And yeah, I think playing international football is the peak of someone like of our level at the moment. It's the peak of their careers. So
there you go. Wanyama, if you're watching, help a brother out.
Victor, shout me out. Or Dennis
Help
Oliech.
Hey, he's in the MLS now as well.
Is he?
Yeah, he plays for
Help a brother
Montreal.
out. Yeah, there we go.
I've actually got a picture. When I went to Kenya, I went out and played for my local side, Karangware United, which is where my dad grew up in one of the places just outside Nairobi. And I'll put a photo in. But yeah, I'd honestly love to play for my country and love to represent them. And it says at the moment that I speak Swahili on Football Manager. It's not true. But hopefully I'll learn one day.
Duolingo. We have Duolingo.
Swahili Duolingo.
I've been doing my 15 minutes a day. I've been doing my 15 minutes a day, French.
Morning miracle.
But
there you go.
Yeah, I think that's a good
That
place to
wraps us
wrap
up
it
nicely.
up.
Nice little episode.
You know, I've really enjoyed learning more about your career. And again, we've obviously talked about it, but it was really nice to hear your career step by step.
Yeah.
And there were some things in there that we didn't know. So yeah, I thought that was
100%.
a really, really interesting episode.
There we go. Do you want to do the outro, bud?
I'll do the outro. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this, my little portion of this series. Hopefully, we're going to get some guests on in the next few weeks.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We have got some things in the pipeline.
An FA Cup hero might be on as well.
That's not ruined.
And also, actually, no. If you've got this far, just in terms of future videos, like what would you like to see and stuff? You know, there's all sorts of like videos you see on YouTube of what is it, the listening challenge.
Yeah, the try not to laugh.
Try not to laugh challenge. If there's anything you want to see, comment it down in the comment section below, and we'll definitely take it into consideration. Like, 100%.
And we've been a lot more active on our other socials, on our TikTok and stuff.
So
just
go and
trying
follow
to
the Insta,
trying to show a bit
TikToks.
more of our personalities as well. But yeah, we just hope that you've enjoyed the 4 episodes so far, and any support that you've shown. Honestly, it's gone so much further than we could have imagined.
I must say, some of the sorry, I'm cutting you out, but some of the things I've been seeing on Instagram about the guy reading the book, because we mentioned the books last week. He said he started the Morning Miracle.
Shout out Jake Bott.
Yeah, like it's ledge, man. Like, sorry, my nose is so.
He's
bunged
welling
up.
up. He's welling up. He's so emotional.
I'm so bugged up. But no, the support has been incredible, and we actually love it when you engage with us as well. We put it into the group chats and stuff. So please don't hesitate to get in contact, and yeah, we really enjoy having your guys' feedback.
Yeah.